in the workforce, you got to wear all the hats, and so you have to dabble in videography and everything. Like in my field, you got to know
Yeah.
how to do all the things. Jack of all trades, master of none. But I suppose to answer your question more directly, I do love directing.
Okay. And that's important to know because now that gives you a chance to narrow things down.
Welcome to the Unstuck Career Podcast with your host, Ken Williams. Each week, we move along your path to possibility so you can finally have the life you want. Let's learn how to deal with people you never wanted to be friends with together so you can become unstuck and unstoppable in your career and life.
Welcome back to another episode of Unstuck Career. And I'm trying something new this week. So we have a very brave soul, Knives Monroe, who has reached out and said he'd be willing to have a conversation. So welcome, Knives.
Thank you
And
so much for having me.
I'm excited to have this conversation. What part of the world are you in?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay, Texas. I'm in Indianapolis. So Texas is good barbecue.
Good barbecue, that's for damn sure.
I've been there once, and yeah, some good stuff there. And Knives, tell me about your name.
Let's see. Well, I'm Knives Monroe. Um, it came from a pseudonym. I'm a creative filmmaker, artsy fartsy type, and I use that pseudonym for it's been 20 years now. But I legally changed my name to Knives Monroe because I had children and I gave them the last name Monroe, and it was like let's make this consistent here.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I've been Knives for gosh 20 years, and it's cool. I dig it. I think I've come into it.
I love it. So, kids, how many kids do you have?
I have two. I have a 20-year-old son and an 11-year-old girl.
Nice. I would not have guessed 20-year-old.
I know. I get that all the time.
So 20 and 11. And that's got to be fun. I've got a son who just turned 19.
Yep. Well,
And
then you
so,
get it. Does he live
yeah,
with you?
no, he's in college right now. And
Good
so
for you.
we see him every once in a while.
That's fun.
And your son, does he live with you?
He lives with me, so it's funny living with a 20-year-old grown ass man. Essentially, we butt heads, but we keep it funny, so it's all
Yeah,
positive.
I love it. And 11-year-old daughter,
Yeah, I love her to death. She's a little version of me.
I love it. Yeah, girls and boys totally different as you're raising them. Pluses and of course pluses and minuses on both sides, but that's fantastic. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. I put a couple social media posts out last week just saying, hey, I want to try something new with my podcast. So guinea pig, thank you for being courageous enough to to have a conversation because I thought that it might be interesting instead of talking to people that have already made a transition from being kind of stuck at that career dead end. Let's talk to somebody who's in the middle of it. And
Absolutely.
so I got some responses. So if this goes well, then we may do it a few more times. I actually have a couple more podcasts scheduled, so we'll see where that goes. So tell me a little bit about what's going on.
Sure. Let's see. So I've been a creative videographer, podcaster, YouTuber, filmmaker, video storyteller for 20 years. Professionally for the past 10. I've been able to pay my bills as a creative director working for different companies. Now, 2 weeks ago, I got laid off, which is kind of breaking news, putting this on this podcast. And there was no heat, didn't do anything bad. It was just a financial thing. I don't think they could afford me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of pushed out of the airplane and forced to skydive, so to speak. And,
Yeah.
the truth is, man, I'm so sick and tired of making other people rich. And I have this old wiring, this old belief system, this old nervous system, whatever you want to call it, of just serving others
Right.
to my own detriment. And I think now it's time to really go all in and do something for myself. I'd love to be self-sustainable. Now's the time. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance at doing what you love. And
Right.
I'm really taking that to heart. And I just don't know what I don't know. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a sort of they call it product market fit. I'm trying to find
Mhm.
something that resonates with an audience. That I came across your TikTok and I thought this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. And I loved your format and I loved your confidence. So I had to reach out because I'm stuck. I don't know what I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how to, I guess, and this is a broad one, but really make a living with my fancy skills. I don't know if I want to start an agency. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's authentic to me. I don't know if I want to lean back into my roots and do more of a filmmaking thing. I'm not sure. So it's really up in the air right now. And
Right.
I've been commiserating and deliberating and pontificating about this for quite some time.
Yeah. So how long have you been thinking about going out on your own? I think it's interesting, the way you said that you've been focused on serving others to your detriment. And I have some thoughts about that. We may get to that in a minute. But how long have you been thinking that you're tired of helping other people get rich?
At least for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's easier said than done,
Sure.
right? Uh, it's much easier to take my skills and flip it and make some money off of it. But how do I do something that serves me? For instance, some of the products that I create are videos for other clients,
Okay.
social media content for other clients,
Hmm.
photography for other clients, podcasts for other clients. What about Knives Monroe? Like, what about me? How do I monetize that and do that for myself where
Right.
that's sustainable and I can support my family?
Yeah. That's a good question. And so we'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes. But for 6 years, what have you done so far over the last 6 years? Now you've been pushed out of the plane, like you said. But what have you done in the last 6 years that have that you that has worked or hasn't worked? What's been kind of going on?
I started my own company, didn't really know what it was. I guess it was supposed to be a creative agency, but I didn't know how to really start that. Didn't go to college. I'm a self-taught guy. But went to the books and went to YouTube University, so to speak, invested in a course and learned how to be a professional freelancer. And so I did that in 2023 and it sucked. It was real brutal.
Mhm.
I have a high overhead. I got all these mouths to feed. I got 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 kids, a wife. Like it's a lot. And so I went crawling back to a job, a job,
Yeah.
and started using my skills and depending on that salary paycheck. But now it's to a point where, man, I did everything by the book. I did it right. I did good business, and I still got laid off. So
Yeah.
it's like I kind of feel like I'm pressured to go all in on myself as a brand or whatever you want to call it
Mhm.
this time around. And I have the experience that and the confidence that I didn't have the first time around back in 2023 when I was exploring working as a sole proprietor or a one person business or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Um, yeah. And so this time I have the confidence, I have the know how, but it's just like, what's the avenue? What do I do? I kind of just want someone to tell me in a weird way because
Right.
I can overthink this to death.
Absolutely. Well, and that is not unique to you. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. They're looking for that. They're looking for the safety, for the security that comes, or that we think comes from the job, and it doesn't, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think you're right that, and when I say you're right, I'm talking about the very brief conversation that we had before hitting record. I think that you're in a situation that a lot of people can relate to. Uh,
Absolutely.
I want the security, I want the comfort, but the job just doesn't light me up. Plus, it's not secure. It's not safe because as the winds change, anything can change.
It's a
So,
system that has failed me consistently. So I
right,
feel once again pushed out of the airplane. Now I got to land on my 2 feet and do something myself.
right. So let's. I'm excited to get into that, which we'll do eventually. We'll get there. So you talk about the responsibility that you have: 2 kids, 2 cats, 2 dogs, and a wife. Um, how much does that do you think feeling that responsibility? feeling that pressure, how much is that holding you back, or is that propelling you forward?
Well, you know, I'd like to think that it propels me forward, that it's leverage, and inspiration, put
Mm-hmm.
food on the table, pay the bills, pay the car, pay the mortgage, support my family, lead by example. That is motivation, more motivation than I think I need. It's
Right.
like that's great. I don't think they hold me back, but I do think the old system of capitalism or something, I don't know, is not serving me anymore.
Okay.
Especially as a creative,
Mhm.
we're often inclined to just do things ourselves, DIY it or something.
Right.
But my family is a great motivator. I love them to death. I never do anything in spite of them. I was a bum before I started a family, and once I started a family, opportunities came my way to make money to support them. And as a provider, I take
Yes,
that very seriously.
absolutely. I love that. Um, so the that's interesting that you said that opportunities came your way, because I think that tends to happen to a lot of us, and because we don't see the opportunity coming, um, it's really easy to assume that it's not, and it's that's just not the case. The opportunities are there. The opportunities exist. I see a lot of comments on some of my social media posts, and I'm not posting things for rage bait. I'm posting things because it's what I genuinely believe. But I get so many comments about how the economy's bad. Uh, the economy's great from a numbers perspective. The employment rate is under 5%. 5% is considered full employment, which means people who want jobs have jobs. It does not take into account how people feel about their jobs, and that's
Sure.
where I'm seeing a lot of people, um, maybe not exactly in your situation, but in situations that I've been in, where I'm tired of this, I'm tired of the situation, tired of the environment, tired of the limitations. As a creative, did you feel that in your job where you felt limited or blocked in the things that you truly wanted to do? Or
Absolutely.
okay.
Yes, sir. I didn't post on social media for 10 months while I had this last job as
Wow.
creative director. And I just fully focused my entire fiber of my being to that job. Once again, to my detriment, I should have been building my personal brand or something,
Sure.
making consistent content, growing Knives Monroe in case the shoe drops. And
Right.
so I regret pouring so much into these companies and entrepreneurs and brands that I'm not really left with much to show for it.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Right. And the thing is, I want to, because I'm not talking just to you. I'm talking to other people that are listening.
Of
The
course.
shoe's always going to drop. The shoe is always going to drop, and it may not be a layoff. It may be a sickness. It may be one of the things that I experienced, and I end up talking to a lot of people who realize this is just not the direction that I thought I wanted when I was 20. And now that I'm 30, 40, 50,
Mm-hmm.
I'm climbing the wrong career ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it's a self-imposed situation, maybe it's imposed upon you, but that shoe is always going to drop. And I don't mean that I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just, this is the way that it is. We realize your priorities, and you tell me if I'm wrong, your priorities at age 20 and your priorities, and I don't even know how old you are, but your priorities today are not the same. And once you throw family, kids into the mix,
Mm-hmm.
things shift. And all of a sudden, what I thought I was meant for in my career just isn't it anymore.
Sure. I could see that for sure. I'm certainly not the same person that I was when I was 20. I'm 37 now, approaching my 40s. Um, Priorities have changed. The world has changed. But in a
Right.
lot of ways, to your point earlier about the economy, content has never been more revered and more. Now they call it the creator economy. There's more money poured into it now than ever before. When I first came up and when I was 20, making money with your camera was more difficult than it is today. So
Right.
it's, uh, things have gotten better as well with throughout time. It's not all negative for sure.
Yeah, that's true. And the biggest adjustment that I think we can make, especially if you've been in a job for more than, let's just say 5 years, since the pandemic. It's not that the economy has changed, but the landscape has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what used to make sense, if you think about before ChatGPT, the way that you would do your resume is you would update it, you would post it on LinkedIn, or you'd apply to jobs on LinkedIn, and it was a pretty easy way to make a connection with somebody. And now with AI, people are using AI to craft their resume, and people are using AI to read resumes. They're using AI to respond to resumes, and it's a totally different environment now. In fact, I heard on that Indeed, the job matching site, gets up to 10,000 applications per open position, which means you've got to be highly, highly visible in order to be in the top, whatever they decide to pull from. So I think your point about building a brand is important, regardless of where you are in your career. Start building a brand. And if you're not a creative, what thoughts do you have about how to build a brand? If that's not the direction of if you're like a financial analyst or something like that.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably even easier, because you have this clean slate. You don't have all this old filmmaking 1.0 baggage like I have. Like filmmaking, hoity-toity. It's not like, I used to look down on YouTube and be like, that's not filmmaking, and I just had all this baggage. I'm an old head. And so I think if you're a financial advisor, if you're a real estate agent or something, and you're looking to build your brand, it's never been easier. The truth is, if you have that device in your pocket that we all have, that phone, you can leverage that and make content every single day. Just tell your truth, tell your perspective. There's also ChatGPT. You can leverage that to get a robust content strategy in terms of what your deliverables should be: photos, carousels, videos, LinkedIn posts, etc. I recommend writing your LinkedIn posts hard way, as opposed to letting ChatGPT do everything for you. But it can prompt you, there's tons of ways to leverage a personal brand, and I think there's less friction there. And of course, I'm a creative. I would look at it like that. But if you're a founder, if you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, or you just want to be able to tell your story and take ownership in that, you should leverage social media. It's free.
Yeah.
And once again, you said the word visibility. If you're not posting on social media, you're not visible.
Right. That's true. And it's not comfortable. I know this because when I started almost probably just over a year and a half ago, it was not easy. It was not comfortable for me to pull out the phone and record myself talking about, here's some things that I think will make a difference if you're in a job that you don't love, or you have a boss that rubs you the wrong way or whatever. So any thoughts about doing things that are uncomfortable?
I'm in. Whatever it is, I just need that playbook. I'll lean into the uncomfort for sure. That's where the magic is.
Right. And that's true. And that's one of the things that I think is so easy to bypass. It's so easy to think. I did a video a while back that the 4 words that are the most toxic are, it's not that bad. Whatever your situation is, if you are thinking it's not that bad, you're not growing. You're not moving towards the thing that you want. So the great thing about a layoff is now you're in a situation where you have one option, and that's to move forward. And you're not in a career or a job that is holding you back, because that doesn't exist anymore. So now you can start taking action. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about, what is it if you could do whatever you wanted. If money were not the 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 determining factor, if you could serve others in a way that serves you as well, not to your detriment, but to your benefit, because providing value, serving others is going to, there's a way that you can benefit from a financial standpoint. If you could do anything you wanted, what would that look like?
Yeah, that's the tough one right now for me. If I could do anything I wanted, I'd wake up, go for a run or a walk, drink some coffee, eat a bagel or something, and start connecting with other like-minded geniuses. Get into the room with people. I love people. I love collaboration. Whether if they're other podcasters, videographers, photographers, other creative directors, other YouTubers, people who are, it's all filmmaking adjacent to me. And so being in the room and collaborating with musicians and or what have you, with other artists, like I romanticize the artist lifestyle.
Okay.
I want to be able to do what I want when I want with whom I want as much as I want. That's success, right?
Yeah.
And if money wasn't a determining factor, I'd be able to create consistent art with people and share that across all platforms and let those chips fall where they may. Outside of that, outside of the act of creation, it's out of my control. But I would do that. That sounds lovely to me.
Yeah. So as far as branding yourself, would you be doing things that would be self-branding, self-promoting? What kinds of things would you do? What kind of projects would you be looking to do?
I'd be making films. I'd be producing short films. I'd be making YouTube videos, producing podcasts. I have my own podcasts in real life. Um, and I would hire someone to follow me around and document, and tell those stories so I don't have to film myself. I've done that for other people and other entrepreneurs, but to have that for me would be, I would know exactly how to utilize that and how to make that dangerous and effective in the social media landscape. So definitely I would be making films, podcasts, YouTube videos, shit. Oh, I didn't mean to curse. Sorry. But I'd be making poems and collaborating with musicians and just, you know, collaborating. That's
Yeah.
the key right there.
And there's a great scene for that in Austin. So you got
That's what they tell
musicians
me.
there. Are you not aware? Are you not part of that?
No, I am. I've been posting some content that has resonated with people in the scene, and yeah, no, it's there's definitely you put the right bait out there, and you'll catch a fish for
Yeah.
sure.
What's your podcast?
It's called the Knives Monroe podcast. I've had it for 9 years, where I interview creatives, artists, business people. We talk about content. We talk about the act of creation. It's pretty opaque, but sometimes I do solo podcasts as well. And it's just been a fun way to stay fluent in the language of storytelling and visual stories. I've always done the video portion of the podcast as well since 2016, and it's just a fun passion project. It's really
Yeah.
cool, and it gets you access to people that you otherwise couldn't have an hour conversation with.
Right. Do you have them? Do you do recording over Zoom, or do you have them
I
in the studio? Or
I just retired from Zoom, and I strictly want to do them in person, which
okay,
cuts your legs off at the potential and the really cool people that you could meet. I might make an exception here and there if it's someone that's in Australia and there's just no way to collaborate. But by and large, I'd much prefer to do them in person.
so my next question: now that you've got this freedom, you don't have the job that's holding you back. What's the biggest thing that's holding you back?
Too many options, I think, and thank you for asking because the prompt really is just sometimes you need someone to prompt you up. But too many options. It's the sandbox is too big. For creativity, the smaller the sandbox, the less options you have, the more creative you can actually be. It forces you to think outside of the box. So I don't know. And I've been having these conversations with my wife, who's been super helpful. We stayed up all the way till like 1 a.m. last night, which we're normally in bed at 8. And so that was really late for us. And
Yeah.
we just talked about this, and, she's projecting a lot of her vibe onto me, but I think it's healthy right
Hmm.
now with where I'm at in this season with this newfound freedom. Um, and so it's hard where I'm at right now, where I'm stuck is, how do I do what I'm passionate about and
Right.
make money at the
Right.
same time? Because, I don't want to capitalize off of other artists that I want to collaborate with and make money off of them. Like, what is the offer? Knives Monroe is the offer, but how do I leverage what I do to make money? Like, that's a little tough for me. I don't
Okay.
know.
So, supportive wife, super helpful.
Yes,
Um, and the collaboration, I think that there's value in there. In fact, I met with somebody the other day that I'll put you in contact with, that you guys might have a synergy that would be interesting to watch.
that would be great.
Um, yeah. So you've mentioned it a couple of times, the passion. Um, what would the if you were really focused on the thing that you love, is that is it um the filming? Is it the editing? Is it the scripting? What is it that you would love to do?
Mm. It's a fantastic question, man. I don't want to have too much dead air here, but I am thinking about this. It's not necessarily, I feel like a veteran that
Okay.
is transitioning out of the military,
Uh-huh.
and now I have to get a regular type life job. And it's like, you mean I'm not going to have someone tell me where to be, what to wear, where to go?
Right.
You mean I'm not going to hang out with my friends anymore, my compatriots? You mean all this thing's not paid for? Like, I got to do all this stuff on my own. So, now it's like, where do I go from here? It's
Right.
really a tough one. So, all that to say, I love the directing. You know,
Okay.
I love. I mean, who wouldn't say this? But telling, collaborating with other artists and having them, articulating the vision and having them execute it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can run audio, I can run video, I can move the lights around, but there are professionals who are way better at it than I am, who've dedicated themselves to that particular craft. I rather work with them and direct them and write the thing and execute the thing and ship it. I'm more interested in that feedback loop
Okay.
and directing more so than I am the actual tactile pushing the buttons. I think
Right.
I've just had to do that by default because we live in a society now where we it's such a hybrid role in the workforce. You got to wear all the hats, and so you have to dabble in videography and everything. Like in my field, you got to know
Yeah.
how to do all the things. Jack of all trades, master of none. But I suppose to answer your question more directly, I do love directing.
Okay. And that's important to know, because now that gives you a chance to narrow things down. And just to pull a couple things together, um, I think what you mentioned is something that a lot of people feel. They're tired of being told what to do, but they want to be told what to do. There are several different reasons for that. But um, when that is no longer part of the equation, then there's an emptiness, or there's a void. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. That, okay, now what? I don't have somebody to tell me what time to be somewhere and where to go and who to talk to and all of that's gone. And so there's a pretty significant mindset perspective shift that has to happen. And so short version of my story is, I was an operations manager at FedEx. I was at FedEx for 16 years
Wow.
and had that, where I had teams that I was responsible for. I had a boss that I was responsible to. I had all the things and when I decided to leave, I took early retirement, which doesn't mean I'm sitting on my couch watching Jeopardy all night, but that's when I decided to start building my coaching business. And not having that input, here's what you need to do, here's where you need to do it, here's when you need to do it, here's the deadline, here's the quality guidelines, etc. There's a kind of a dip in flow. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but all this freedom that comes up all of a sudden feels like it's a new restriction, because now it's really easy to start chasing the opportunity. And like you said, you mentioned it in a couple different ways, that you don't want to be in service to others at the expense of yourself, but there's a way that you can be in service to others that is going to benefit them and benefit you. And so starting to narrow down what it is that you want, the directing, for example, that's going to be a great place to start, because then you can now eliminate everything else. Your sandbox just got smaller. And so now, instead of looking at the opportunities, the creative opportunities that may exist, where you're running cable, or you're setting up shots, or you're collaborating with a potential podcast guest, all of that you can set to the side, because you're looking only for the opportunities where you can direct. And so that's something that's gonna help you get unstuck. It's funny, when I talk to people, they can't think of a better word than stuck, and I can't think of a better word, so we'll just use it. So it feels, or it can feel, very restrictive as you start to narrow things down, because, but I can do this and I can do that. But at least in your situation where, yeah, you can, but what you really want to do is direct. So let's just focus on the direct and let the other stuff fall to the side. You know, you can pick it up if you need to, but let's start focusing on the directing.
Yeah, that sounds nice on paper. I am a little dubious about, and this is like a scarcity mindset thing, I think. I'm a little dubious about making money doing that. Like, it's just so, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And it should be obvious, right? Like, this is what I was telling my wife last night. Like, it should be a no-brainer, I think. Right?
You would think so, but think back to what you said earlier, that that when you, and I am now trying to remember the exact quote, but as soon as you started having family responsibilities and things like that, the opportunities just showed up. And so in hindsight, you can see how that all played out. And the only difference between then and now is you're on the leading edge of it. And now it looks like those opportunities don't exist, or you don't know where they're going to come from, because you're not on the other side of it yet. But as soon as you get on the other side, it will be easy to say, oh yeah, of course. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I just want to get to that other side.
Right.
Quickly.
Guess what? There's one way to get there.
Yeah. How's that?
And the only way to get to the other side is to go through it.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's the scary part, because especially as we get older, when you're 20, it's devil may care type attitude. If I fail colossally, I still have mom and dad's basement, or I've got buddies I can sleep on their couch. But now 2 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, wife, it feels much heavier. And the great news is you're 37 and you have 37 years of experience, and some of the things that you've navigated. If you have a 20-year-old and an 11-year-old, if you have 2 dogs, 2 cats, my cat's over here getting ready to puke, just so that's making my life happy.
That's okay.
But you've managed to deal with some really complex situations, and the jobs that you've had, that just learning the skill that has gotten you to this point, the podcast, the content, all the other stuff. You've got experience. And so here's my diagnosis, if you want to call it that, my assessment. If I were to talk to you as I would talk to a client, I would say the thing that you need is you need to start believing in yourself as much as your wife believes in you. And that's, I know, easier said than done, but that's where most of us start. We're more capable than we imagine we are, because we know all of our weaknesses, all of our frailties, all of our liabilities. And even your wife doesn't know all that. She knows the great stuff that Knives brought to the world. And so she may have a higher belief in you than you do. You have people around you that have bigger beliefs in you than you do. And then you have people like me as a coach. I have a bigger belief maybe in you than you do. And so step one, start building that in yourself. And until that builds up, it's going to be perfectly fine. It's going to be okay to lean on your wife's belief in you, or my belief in you, or collaborators' beliefs in you. And then you'll start to catch up to, oh, I'm capable of a lot more. And the how is going to show up. It's going to work itself out, just like it did when you were 20.
Yeah, I suppose it's cyclical in that way. Time is a flat circle.
It is a flat circle. So any last thoughts, questions, anything at all? And
well, I thank you so much for this opportunity, to be under your tutelage and to essentially get free coaching, with this podcast. It's such a good deal. Just kidding. No, it's really tremendous opportunity, and I'm very grateful for it. Thank you. And I think you've, brought tremendous value for me. It's funny. The answers are always the most obvious, no duh answers, like directing. Right. I wrote it down, like, duh, it's in my name, like it's in my title, it's what I do.
Right.
We get caught up on all the other things that we can do, all the other ancillary things, like, social media management, drone operator, blah, 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 all these things. And it's like, I just want to direct, like, nuts and bolts. That's really what it is. So thank you for that assessment. I think it's clear.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure meeting you. Just a couple things I want to close with. First of all, go to Knives podcast. Check out his podcast, the Knives Monroe podcast. I'm going to check it out. And then like I said, I'm just trying this. I'm trying this out. I've got a couple other conversations scheduled. If you are thinking that you'd like to have one of these conversations, you're brave enough to come on the podcast and have a conversation, I'd be happy to do that. You can email me at ken@kenwilliamscoaching.com and tell me your thoughts, and I will send you a few questions, and we can go from there. But thanks for listening. This has been an absolute pleasure for me. Hopefully it's been helpful for you as well. But thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Get back to the work you love, where you face less stress, gain more happiness, and live into your purpose. Let me help you become unstuck and unstoppable so you can finally have the life you want. Head over to my website to connect with me at kenwilliamscoaching.com.